Yeah, I mean, what I would like to do is try to focus the conversation on the vast majority of the people, for this little talk, on all the people who don't have access to any of the tools. The people who, because they don't have access to the media, because their issues are not covered in the media, it's fair to describe them as voiceless. And so I think the issue, to come to what you were saying in the beginning about who has the right to be called a journalist, it's to me, at Video Volunteers, you sort of look at the question of who has been excluded from being a journalist for for most of this century. To the point that Sukumar, I think, was making this morning, that there are no tribal journalists in Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh in the official spaces, and that's a complete travesty. So what I'm going to be being here today is the timing is very fortuitous, because my organization has just launched a campaign today, which is a campaign based on visual documentation done by our community correspondents. So this is the perfect place to be announcing that and sharing it. So the campaign is about untouchability. We had our 60 community correspondents spend the last 2 months documenting untouchability across the country in their local areas. And the call to action of the campaign is for the National Commission of Scheduled Castes to view these instances of untouchability as criminal offenses and not say that we can only prosecute the violent ones. So I'll play a couple.
खाने में भेदभाव होता है क्या?
हाँ होता है, लाडू गेम होता है ना, अलग बैठाते बच्चों के लिए खाने, लग जैसे सारे धर्म लोग एक साथ बैठते हैं ना, तो मतलब हमारे लोगों को अलग दे देते खाना।
हम लोग जो है यहाँ पर चाहे सामान्य जाति हो चाहे अनुसूचित जनजाति हो, सब आपस में भाई भतीजे के हिसाब से रहते हैं और बड़े प्यार प्रेम से रहते हैं। मगर जहाँ पर खान पान का सवाल होता है, वहाँ पर हमें जो है इस खाने पीने से अलग रखा जाता है और यहाँ पर मतभेद होता है। तो यहाँ पर हम जा करके अपनी कमजोरी या अपने उसको कुछ एहसास को कम समझने लगता है कि क्यों हमारे सारे का मतभेद और किया जाता है।
बुरा तो लगता ही है, मतलब सारे एक साथ बैठे तो कोई अलग बैठेगा तो बुरा तो लगेगा उसी।
आपको गुस्सा आता है?
गुस्सा भी आता है ये।
I'm going to do 2
तो आप जब अभी थोड़ी देर पहले निकल रही थी, वहाँ से चप्पलें क्यों उतारी थी आपने थोड़ी सी दूर के लिए?
जी ऐसा था चप्पल ने तो बड़ा घर है गोबरे सिंह को हमारी सास में उतार दिया है, जो बाहर ही करते हैं। हाँ सास कहती हमारी क्या चप्पल उतारी।
और मानो आप चप्पल पहन के निकल जाती हो तो वो क्या हो सकता है आपके साथ में?
कभी नहीं हो बड़े हमारे बड़ा घर।
आपकी जाति क्या है?
क्षमा क्षमा।
मजदूरी के लिए जा रहे थे जी खेत में, और वहाँ एक मटका पड़ा था, उसमें से मैंने पानी पिया। आगे से वो जिम्मेदार आ गया, उसने कहा भाई तू कहाँ का है? माँ में जी सिंगाने का, मतलब किस जाति में से है? माँ चमारों में से। और बोला बहन से 1.5 तारीख क्या हिम्मत होगी हमारे मटके के हाथ लाने की। फिर उसके बाद में जिसने बहन की माँ की गाड़ियाँ जो आई नहीं वो थी, फिर मैं थप्पड़ मारे मेरे, मैंने हाथ जोड़े, बेटा तेरे मटके के पैसे ले ले, हम ले जाएंगे, हम 13 आदमी थे, मैं पैसे ले ले। उसने तो मैंने ख्याल भी नहीं किया ये साइकिल पे दरात ले गए, तो उसने साइकिल पे से उतार के तक एकदम पेट की तरफ चला दिया। मैंने हाथ उठा दिया, मेरे हाथ पे आ गया।
कोई नहीं के लिए खुआ हुआ था, के लिए ना पता कुछ।
Yes, 60 community correspondents across the country working with us. We recruit them through NGOs and activists, and they come to us for 2 weeks of training, and we give them flip cams, and they go back to their villages, and they send us on average 1 3-minute story a month. They're longer and bigger than this. We edit the videos ourselves in our office. We publish them online, and we send it back to them so that they can bring it to local authorities, bring it to the community to try to get some action taken on the issue. So last night we published 22 of these stories on our website. The hook being that today, as someone was also mentioning, is Ambedkar Jayanti. And we have this petition, and it's gotten a fair amount of media. We have a 2-page spread about it in Sahelka today. They're on CNN, IBN, and they're being used in the daily news bulletins on NewsX throughout the day. So, as an organization, we're interested to see how we can do more campaigns like this, and also how you can tie the media into this. So, for instance, we were brainstorming a few days ago about what are some of the other issues that our people want to take up, that we think the media is that you could also find a media peg for, say, so election fraud during election times, or corruption at just about any time right now, to see if this is a model to create campaigns from the grassroots based on community voices that can also use the mainstream media in some way to elevate these issues. And just say one thing also, what I often show some videos about who these people are, but to come back to this thing about diversity in the media, there's so little diversity in this country, and so our, perhaps the biggest impact of what we're doing is to bring out some of these voices, these communities whose voices are not heard. So it's about 30% tribal, 50% of the people are women, and 25% Dalits. So hence, they're saying to us, this is an issue we really want to work on. Can we focus on this in an intense way? I'll just show 2 more of these short videos.
દરેક સમાજના વ્યક્તિ આવે ખરા કે પછી ના આવે?
દરેક સમાજ ના આવે.
વાળ કપાવા ક્યાં જાવ તમે?
વાળ કપાવા વિરંગાવ.
એ ગામમાં નહીં દુકાન?
ગામમાં કોઈ કાપતું જ નહીં ને.
છે ખરી દુકાન?
દુકાન તો છે, 2 છે, 3 છે હવે તો.
હરિજન વાલ્મીકી ના આવે? કેમ નહીં કાપતા?
એ ભેદભાવ રાખે છે.
કેવો ભેદભાવ?
કે તમે હરિજન ને એ લોકો પટેલ ને સવણકુંડ ને
એટલી આવક તમારી ઓછી થાય ને? તો
ઓછી છે.
એટલે એ લોકો આવતા નથી કે
આવે જ નહીં? આપણે
આવે જ નહીં. એટલે હરિજન નહીં કરતા એવું
ના
પૈસા આપો તો
પૈસા આપો તો નહીં કાપતા ને અંદર બેહવા નહીં જતા વાળી શોપની અંદર યાંત્રિક કરવા જતા
especially is the subtlety of it. You know, the mainstream media will pick up from ones, the violence. You know, that hand chopping one was in the media. You know, and so of course, you know, we have to also gather those kinds of stories, houses being burnt down, deaths in sewers, and all of that stuff. But I think the real power of community media is in capturing the day-to-day lives of people. And you know, and what's different about it is that it's happening between two people whose lives are close, who live in the same physical space, and also who may have a different perception of what's important there. So the you know, and it was also as we reviewed the videos that were coming in from around the place, we realized that it was mostly these sort of subtle forms of untouchability that was coming out, which led us to the call to action of the campaign, that it's not all right for the police to only prosecute these violent ones. You know, it is illegal and against the Constitution, all of these forms of untouchability. So the government has to figure out a way to also prosecute all of those. And I think what's interesting is that, you know, is how the call to action, how campaigning organizations or activists, when you really listen to communities, you will come up with a different kind of campaign message. And I think that's a big part of the power of community media and how it creates alternative spaces and alternative voices, because we start to hear different things, and it can give, you know, it's our hope that it can give a whole kind of revitalization of how we get these messages out by giving us new messages and new angles.
Okay, this is directed at Jessica. Thank you for sharing the videos that you shared with us. I think instead of talking about new media only in relation to traditional media, old media, I think we should examine the context in which new media could be used. So I think what you shared would be amazing in the field of education. I speak as a school, from my experience as a school teacher here. What's happening increasingly that in schools and colleges, teachers have begun to use videos as a huge part of their teaching. So whether it's a YouTube video or a news story or something done by video volunteers, I think we should examine what happens, the discussion it might possibly generate in a space which is far removed from where the video has been shot, but yet it's so meaningful. So say instead of reading a history textbook which talks about what Ambedkar did, and that as being the only experience of caste oppression for a child in school, here now, because the videos that have been made, I can take these videos to class and get the children to talk about, you know, what they feel when they hear someone talk about their own experience as opposed to someone else talking about the experience of the community that's affected. And I think we should also think about the consumers of what we are referring to as new media. I think there's so much sharing that's happening on Facebook, even by very, very young people. And it's not related only to, you know, comments on pictures at birthday parties. There's a lot of very important sharing happening to issues like this as well. So I think let's remember that as well and not just talk about, you know, like the distinctions between new and old. We are limiting the conversation a lot.
Yeah.
Would you like to respond to that?
And I mean, this conference is about youth, whether it's school children or it's college students. You know, how hopeful it is, the level of engagement of a lot of young people.
As you have been telling that your work base is in Goa and you are working with Caste Stalin. As I know that Stalin was born in Pune and educated in Ahmedabad. Now he is working in Goa and he is still working on the dalits and the untouchability. But as far as I know, that highest percentage of the dalits are in Punjab, then Himachal, then West Bengal. What are the reasons that he is concentrated in Goa rather than being into the highly populated, Dalits populated areas?
we're in Goa because of me, because that's where I wanted to be. I mean, our strategy is sort of to be national in the way that we work. So we have grown our network of community correspondents by saying we'll take 2 people in every state, and now by focusing on different issues. And I guess, but specifically related to Stalin. I mean, he's made a lot of films on untouchability, but that's in India. In our main work in Video Volunteers, it's really about it's not about a particular issue. It's just the idea that the right to a voice is a right, and people. It doesn't matter what they're talking about. If they're talking about education or health, media projects shouldn't just be. It shouldn't just be video for health, video for untouchability, or for anti-untouchability, or these kinds of things. So it's a lot broader than untouchability.